Can you guys hear me now? Because I've been sitting here talking and talking and talking and and no one has been listening. Oh gosh. Hi everyone. Let's start from the beginning. Yes, the mound is still there, and I think it's been there for like 3 or 4 years. And yes, I am a machinist here on the Bergen line in Norway. I work for a company called V, which used to be the Norwegian State Railway Company. Yes, we are going to all on this non-passenger service because we are transferring Class 75, also known as the FLIRT, to the workshop in Drammen. But I'm not going all the way this time. For several reasons, and one of them being Corona. Are there any questions I have missed? Agent KD, everything is going well here now. Clayton Matthews, I used to be licensed to drive everything of the electrical rolling stock here in southern Norway until I moved to Voss. Then I was just licensed to drive the Class 69 and the old one. They are now removed from the line, and the L18. And then they introduced the FLIRT, which I used to operate on the east side of the mountains, so they just got them over. So yeah, now I'm just licensed to operate the Class 75 or FLIRT, and that also includes Class 74 and of course the L18. And yes, the types actually do differ quite a bit. Not so much in the way you operate it, but more kind of where the buttons are and what you do if you have an issue with the train itself. So yeah, it's like being licensed on several aircraft types, even though in civil aviation you are just licensed for one type of aircraft when you are running commercials. Nancy? Yes. I have not seen the Northern Lights here on the Bergen line before because I've usually not driven the night train a lot, except during the summer. And yeah, during the summer you won't see it anyway because it never gets dark here in Norway during the summer. But when I was based in Oslo, I used to see it all the time when I was during the winter when I was running to places like Dombås and Lillehammer. So it was beautiful. It's really beautiful seeing that when you're like moving up along the biggest lake in Norway called Mjøsa, and you just see the northern light coming down from the skies. It's like, yeah, it's mesmerizing and really, really beautiful. Thank you so much for Super Chat, Steve. No, Steve, I've not received my vaccine yet. I think they're still vaccinating the people above 64 and people from, I think it's 55, who has underlying issues. So yeah, I am last in line, so hopefully I will be vaccinated by the end of the summer. Ian Walker? No, they have not started to sell t-shirts in the store at the station yet. Sadly, the cafe we used to have in the station building has closed permanently. So now it's just a small reception and kiosk downstairs, and you have the gas station across the road, but nothing at the station anymore. Hey John, I'm doing good. How are you? Woot toot zoot. Our days can vary from like, it really depends on how many hours we work in a 6-week period or 4-week period. They do the average of that. So we are supposed to clock approximately 150 hours in 4 weeks and 225 in 6 weeks. And that means that some weeks might be a lighter load compared to others. So our days can be everything between 6 hours and all the way up to 16 hours. But when we do have days that are 16 hours long, the day is split in two. So we do have some rest time in the middle before we do the last bit of that long shift. Thank you so much for the super chat, John. B Griffin 317. If we have a deadman switch on our trains, yes, we do. We have a system called SIFA, and that means that we have to press down on a pedal or a button, depending on what you choose, all the time. And if we lift our foot off that pedal, it will be approximately 6 seconds before you have a light turning on that will be flashing, and then after 6 more seconds you will have a tone telling that, hey, are you there? I'm trying to get in contact with you, and if you do not respond within the next 6 seconds, I am going to stop the train. So if we do not tell the train by moving the controller or pressing down on that pedal again that we are lucid, then the train will apply the emergency brakes and go to a complete stop. Hey there, Gilbert Arnold. Kevin, yes, I have seen his videos, and indeed, he is based in Trondheim and works for the company called SJ, which is the Swedish National Railroad Agency company. Jason Porter, actually, I do have a store where you can purchase some branded stuff. Sandy D, do you want me to pronounce Kjosfossen? So there you had it, Kjosfossen. Ooh, Penguin 3. What is my favorite part of the line? The section from Stanghelle or Dale to Vaksdal is one of my huge favorites between Voss and Bergen. And between Voss and Myrdal, you have the section from Josambotn and up to Myrdal, which is a huge favorite. And then you have, of course, the plateau on top of the mountain, and you have most of the Flom line, especially when you come down from Blomheller and Bærekvam, and yeah, it's the views are just amazing. Thank you so much for the soup chat, Sakura. Thank you so much for the soup chat, Gilbert Arnold. Big hug back to you too, Silk Chiffon. Muncie, that is something I am working on. So I've been starting to record some pronunciation of stations and stuff like that, so that will be in a future video. Real Brothers Productions, if they made the company I work for famous, not really, because there has been only 2 passenger service companies in Norway, and that has been the Airport Express Train and the Norwegian National Railroad Company, called, back in the days, called NSB. Then the politicians opted to go for the British railroad model, so they started to franchise out all the lines in Norway into packages. So you have Package North and Package West, which is the part I work on, and you have Package South. And now they're gonna split up the Intercity and local service around and in Oslo as well into Package 4 and 5, which has been, I think it's a year delayed now due to current state of the world. But yeah, everything is being privatized here in Norway. So, but nah, the company was kind of known already before I started recording videos, but people has started to notice and get more familiar with the Flom line, especially the Bergen line, and a lot of people have chosen to come to Norway based on what they've seen in these videos to experience the line in person, and that is just really cool. Dennis and Jan Holder, how has your winter been? It has been very on and off. We had some really cold weeks in January. I think it lasted for almost 6 weeks, where the temps were like below 20, minus 20. Yeah, that was basically the winter. Thank you so much for the super chat, Francis Martin. And thank you so much for the super chat, Brickyard. Ooh, you know, Brickyard, I would that is actually on my bucket list. I really want to run the Sila Express. And when are they going to start operating the new villa? Is it in full service now? Ginny, do you mean the clear cut of the forest? Sandy D, that is a magnificent drive. I really recommend it. John Hansen, yes. We acquired a railway company in Sweden some years back, and it was called Tågkompaniet, if I'm not mistaken. And they swapped the livery when we went from being NSB to V, and then they decided to just have one color scheme and one marketing scheme throughout the whole thing. So yeah, we also run trains in Sweden, but those are with Swedish employees and stuff like that. Thank you so much for the super chat, Ian Walker. Thank you, John. Mansi, the application I use to edit my videos is Adobe Premiere. And I have been trying to transfer over to DaVinci Resolve because of the camera I'm using. But I'm not gotten used to starting to edit with something called nodes instead of using the more known Photoshop way and Premiere way to do editing in layers. So I'm still trying to fiddle around that to see if I can transition over, but yeah, it's time consuming. Thank you so much for the super chat, Marty Young. William Jackson, the highest grade is 22 per mil, which means 2.2%. 12% would be you wouldn't be able to run a normal adhesion railway on 12% without having a rack rail in the middle, of course. Michael King. That is awesome. Thank you. And really, it doesn't sound strange at all. You can't imagine how many cockpit videos I have been watching when I have been waiting for departure. Yeah, so that is my thing, watching cockpit videos. Thank you so much for the soup chat, Adam D. Thank you so much for soup chat, Sean Chang. Steve Meiker, yes. I was supposed to be in the land as usual around this time, but we're not allowed to travel anywhere, and now we are basically going into a new kind of lockdown here in Norway. The numbers are increasing rapidly, and so we are more or less asked to just stay at home, and traveling abroad is disadvised and discouraged. And if we go out of the country now, no travel insurance would cover anything due to the recommendations from the State Department. Thank you, Mansi. B Griffin 317, there are a lot of stops between Voss and Myrdal. And we do have a local service that stops on all these stations on a request, of course. And mostly it is for the people using the cabins in the area and also for the school children. So we have one train leaving from Mjølfjell in the morning. And of course, before that, you have to go to Mjølfjell and you stop at all these stops along the way up and then back down again. And then we have a afternoon train and up and down. So if I'm not mistaken, it's 3 trains going up and down during a normal service. And of course, even more during the high season in the summer. Thank you so much for the soup chat, John Skinner. And thank you so much for the soup chat, Frank. Richard, why I sound a horn on open track? If you look closely, you will see that every time I sound a horn, there's a diamond-shaped signal with a horizontal bar on it, which means level crossing, and we have to sound a horn. So if you watch as we leave the station here right now, you will see a signal coming on. Let's see, in about 6 seconds. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and there it is. And we need to sound the horn. Danny Doughboy, I did operate this train when this video was recorded. Yes. Naomi, I saw that. You were 6% Norwegian. That was so awesome. Thank you, Chilean. James Nidlinger, that mound has been there for like at least 3 or 4 years, and no one has removed it, so I just found it, like, turned it into a pond, really, because it's placed in a really awkward spot, and yeah, like I said, it's been there for a really long time. The sand there, or the small rocks, the shingles, they're really good. They just need to dry it up and then they can reuse it. So I just don't know why they don't do it. Marty Young, the diamond-shaped sign that has no lines in it, either horizontal or vertical bar, that means that you have to sound the horn as a general warning. B Griffin 317, there are some international standards here in Europe. They are working on harmonizing all the rules across every country throughout the EU. It's a slow and tedious work, and all the countries are kind of opposing it on several levels for obvious reasons. But at some point they will have harmonized all the rules, and then you would be able to basically drive from Oslo and all the way down to Italy. Thank you so much for your super chat, Agent KD. William Jackson, I think it's something like that, like 47 or 52 tunnels. That's right. I probably lost count, but there are approximately 200 tunnels in total between Bergen and Oslo. BK24, the plastic covering in the tunnel, you mean the foam mats, the white ones? Raymond Taylor, the signal, the diamond-shaped signal with a vertical bar in it, that means that you have to sound the horn for the halt. So, example, just I can do, yeah, we can take that after we pass Mjølfjell. So I will get back to that question, but Vertical means that you have to sound a horn because there's a platform or halt in front of you. So trains that has a scheduled stop on that halt or station has to sound a horn if you see the vertical bar, diamond shaped sign with a vertical bar. And since I'm not stopping there and don't have a scheduled stop on any such stations, I don't need to sound a horn. Bruce? So am I. There are a lot of tunnels on this line, and the reason for it is because of the topography, for obvious reasons. And this was the best place to put the railway line at the time when they built it. VK24, the insulation mats, those are installed to prevent the water from freezing up and coming down and form icicles on the catenary, and basically to lead the water away from the track, so it leads it down to the sides instead. A rail? I think it was just that one. But when spring comes and the ground starts to thaw, it's gonna be really bumpy. John Howe, that noise was the SIFA system, or driver awareness system, asking me to just make sure that I'm still there. So if I don't lift my foot off the pedal and press down again for a certain amount of time, the train will sound that tone, and just to check that if you're still there. So if I hadn't responded to that sound, it would have stopped the train. You're welcome, VK24. Francis Martin, it depends on the conditions on the trackhead, but during ideal conditions, I would say at 130 kilometers per hour you would use approximately 500 meters to stop, 3 to 500 meters depending on your train. Example, if you travel with a train at 200 kilometers per hour or 210, you would use approximately 1250 meters to stop with emergency brakes. So that means that if something happened in front of the train and when you see it, it's basically too late at those speeds. Same if you see that with a car or a plane or whatever in front of you, it at those speeds, it's just like, yeah. But for rock slides and stuff like that, we do have avalanche prevention systems and stuff like that, or systems that will notify us if there has been an avalanche, and then we just slow down and inspect the line and with all the permissions back and forth, and yeah, so it's pretty safe. Melissa, if your screen has frozen up, I suggest you just refreshing it by hitting that F5, or if you are on a Mac, just slap that Command R. Thank you, VK24. My pleasure, Xian Chang, and thank you for being one of them. Chef Walrus, the model of that train you're referring to is the L18. It is the Norwegian variant of the Swiss RE460. Produced by SLM, and it is, I have to admit, one of the best constructed locomotives ever. I have not broken down in a tunnel yet, but I have been kind of stuck in a tunnel without power for a prolonged time of prolonged time. Oh, that was really hard to pronounce. And yeah, it was not scary. It was getting cold basically. But not scary. I don't know why, but if you are scared of tunnels, being an engineer or train driver in Norway, that would be not such a good combination. Same if you're claustrophobic. So those are things they check during the psych evaluation before you are allowed to start training. So yeah, so they just make sure that you don't suffer from anything of that before you start running trains on network that is just filled with tunnels, tight tunnels, and really long tunnels. Hey there, Texas chick. Thank you for becoming a member, Ian Walker. Yes, you did. How are you? I haven't seen you for a while. John Ho, we use a communication system called GSMR. It is almost like a normal GSM network, and we do have some rail functionalities like group calls and emergency calls and stuff like that. So the communication here is point to point. So if the dispatch want to contact you, they basically call your train. And the same if I want to get in contact with a traffic controller or dispatch, I will call them directly. So we have a bunch of shortcut keys on the cab radio, which we can just push and end up where we want to call. If we do have an emergency, we can hit the emergency button and then that will open a communication with all the trains in a given area. And this absolutely, and then again, the same with if you want to just notify all the trains in a certain area, you can just open a group chat and that will have the same functionality. Thank you, John Skinner. I really miss these chats myself, and I am doing well. And I absolutely hope you too are doing well, even though the world is completely crazy, and that I really hope that the lockdowns and isolations and stuff like that hasn't kind of started to get to you. Hey there, Darby G. Thank you so much for the super chat, Servant of Line. Sakura? No. You have to push a button to open the doors on this train, so my Jedi wave on these doors it's basically a really good timing. Thank you so much for the super chat, Bergen there. Griffin, doing my best. I am talking. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Man, that might have been one of my videos, yes. I have done a lot of videos with the side views as well, and will make more of them in the near future. Thank you for becoming a member, Stephanie. David 31, no, we don't see a lot of that, but I have experienced that, and yeah, I can talk about that experience because that was actually not cool at all. It was when I was based in Oslo and I was running a train to a place called Kongsvinger. And just as we come around the curve into Kongsvinger station, I saw two boys standing in the middle of the track playing chicken with the train. And the third guy, or their friend, was standing on the other side of the fence filming them. And I was so sure that I actually hit one of them when I passed, because it was like really close. Slammed the emergency brakes and the train halted and opened up the side window, and I saw them just jump in a car and just drive off. And that was that. And I was sitting there like really with the shakes and everything, because the last thing you want to experience is to hit a person on the track just because they wanted to play chicken with a train. Who does that? I mean, seriously, 80 kilometers per hour, 130 kilometers per hour, or 200 or 40. Doesn't matter, the results are the same. If you get slapped in the face by 200 tons of steel, you will not survive. It's that simple, and people are really stupid. And I gather that was today's rant. Steve, that's just crazy. Thank you so much for Super Chat, BB8528 Fred. Thank you so much for Super Chat, John Gray. Lars, you know, that is so true, because Chuck Norris doesn't bend to steel. It is steel that bends to Chuck Norris. Texas? Yes, all the trains in Norway are equipped with a snow blade, and it has a dual function. During the winter, we are able to push the snow aside and keep it away from the wheels and stuff like that, or mostly. And during the summer or any other situations, if you have some small trees or stuff like that that has fallen on the track, that too will be pushed aside by the plow. Cloudwalker? Why the name Cowgirl? Really simple. I love cows. Whoa, thank you so much for the super chat, Cold Steel Rails. Thank you. Skinner, do you want to swap with me? Because I could really, really need that temperature, and the Floridian sun in Florida, it's just awesome. Thank you so much for super chat, Lirchikus. Is that how it's pronounced? And I'm really glad that my videos are able to help you, and that's just awesome. Thank you. Steven Kessler, no, I have not talked about the bird box yet, because it is. I found out that the birds does not start to nest until approximately mid or late April, so still a month away. So I will definitely start talking about that bird box when it starts to get close. But yeah, hopefully I will be able to put up a stream that will be dedicated for the bird box, so then we'll be able to see how the birds nest and feeds their chicks and everything. Steve Marker, that would be so awesome. That would be so down my street to have my own plot of land like that. Yeah, that would be awesome. John Skinner, the funny thing about the weather in Florida at this time of year is that it could be 90 degrees one day, and then suddenly the day after you're back down in the low 50s, and then it pops up again and then down again. It's like really on and off. I remember, I think it was 2 years ago when I arrived in the land, and it was so cold you had to scrape the ice off the windshield of the car in the morning. I was like, dude, this is not what I signed up for. I came here to skydive in the heat and warmth and everything that's lovely with Florida. But this, when you could pick the lizards off the fence because they're frozen, no. It was just crazy, and it was so cold and freezing during night. Dominic 20, the model of this train is the Stadler FLIRT, designated class 75 here in Norway. So this trip that we're running now is just a position run for train set to get to the main workshop in Sundland in Drammen. Joseph Vanderhoff, would it be a moment like here, hold my stick? Barfi, you pronounce it like Honningsvåg. Simon Taylor, a spring switch. Could you please elaborate? Atlas Enduro, it is not so much about how many hours you are traveling, it's more about where from and where you're going. So take the Bergen line as an example. If you want to travel the whole distance from Oslo to Bergen or vice versa, you can get tickets as low as 200 NOK, depending on when you order and how early you order. So if you are well in advance and plan your trip really well, then you can get really cheap tickets. John Skinner, I totally agree. I guess you guys really see it in the amount of rain, floods, and stuff like that. And we see it here in Norway as well, as more intense rain, more intense heat. And we get shorter winters, but we get kind of, the weather's more extreme, basically. It's more like black and white. So the contrasts are just greater, and yeah, it's we see changes here, and a lot has changed just the past 10 years. Even the trees are starting to grow higher up in the mountains as well. So here in Norway, usually you don't find any trees above 1,000 meters, but now that trees are they're just creeping higher and higher as well. So there are definitely changes coming. Jepp, Pedron. Dette det du ville ha sett. Gillette? I totally agree. Summer on this line here is astonishing in the mountains. And my favorite part of the year on this line is during fall, approximately early or late September, because then the colors in the mountains are really exploding. So funny thing there is that you have kind of a 2-week window from going from green and to brown. So within those 2 weeks, the scenery in the mountains changes a lot, and if you run on the wrong day, you can just miss out on the exceptional color play in the mountains, and just a week after it will be all brown. So it's all about timing if you want to get the best out of the high mountains here in Norway. Dominic, the safety system used on this track is ATC. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but we are upgrading everything here in Norway to ETCS. So the Bergen line will become ERTMS level 2 line in 2023. So in December 2023 they are going to switch pull the switch on the old signaling system and we will be using the new one if everything runs according to plan. John Skinner, that's pretty cool. I mean, seriously? Amtrak should run more trains through Florida. And I've heard that they are going to, thanks to rail, they are going to upgrade the land station into something more central. And that they're gonna run more trains between Orlando, is it, and DeLand? Well, at least there are gonna be more trains. That Sunrail is actually going to start running to DeLand. Hey there, Alex. Tim Adolfson point out the volcano over Iceland. Iceland is pretty far in that direction. Mr. Smokehouse 6, awesome! Tsukami, that is already a train that has left, say it that way. The Norwegian network is already being privatized and 3 of the franchises has been put out for bid, and the company I work for, we won the bid for the Bergen line. Swedish company SJ, they won the bid for the North Line, so that was package 2. And British company Go Ahead, they won the bid for franchise 1, which is the Southern Line. So we are now running in the longest tunnel on the Bergen line. So So you guys finally gave up on that madness that was introduced, was it in the early 90s or was it in the 80s? And we just introduced it because some politicians thought it was a great idea to run the railway in that sense. So yes, we have 20 years of chaos, and that was the highest point of the Bergen line. 1,237 meters above sea level. Skinner, that's awesome. A lot of things that happened in Orlando in the past years. Hey there, Stephanie. So you have learned about Kari Bremnes. Yes, you did. The camera kind of controls itself. It's just put down and you just press record and it operates by itself. James Dixon, I have been conducting trains for over 10 years. Mariana, Texas, my favorite thing about being an engineer is the ever-changing scenery. It's that simple. Just look at out the windshield here, and you will see the insane changing light and clouds and weather conditions. And even though you run the same line every day, it's never the same. You never see it absolutely the same every day. It's always something new. It can be new cloud formations, new type of weather you haven't experienced before, or other situation that, so no days are 100% alike. Frank, I do too. I really wish I could re-record that line, but sadly that will probably never happen. Princess Martin, I have been to Canada once, and that was Toronto. Really cool city, by the way. Centurion, I totally agree. I live in these conditions, and besides on this trip, they were really otherworldly. It was like completely whoa. Ian Walker, I'm not sure. We'll see what the future brings. Yes, it's more like something like that, because you can't get any higher than this. So then, the camera I use to record this video is a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera 6K. And the lens is a Canon CNE 24mm with a transmission of 1.5. And for storage, I used a 2TB Samsung SSD, the T5. And for battery and power, it is a Sony battery with 9600 milliamp. If I'm not mistaken, but at least 95 watt-hour. No, Axe, it's not stressful. It really depends on the day or what kind of type of train you are driving. Some trains are more stressful to operate than others, but driving trains is not stressful per se. So just keep your calm. You won't get faster to your destinations anyway, so pretty limited. So if you're a stressed out person, this is not the job for you. the weather is... It's kind of crazy outside. It's raining and snowing and raining and snowing and raining and snowing. So it's kind of going back and forth all the time. Chili Cat, we do use a point-to-point system for communications, so it's basically advanced phone. So we don't have open communications between dispatch, traffic controller, and other trains. So that's why it's so quiet. But if I do have a conversation with the traffic controller, which I had on this trip for I think it was 3 times, I usually edit out those parts to make sure that you can't hear the conversation. You can see the difference in weather from the west side of the mountain, and you have this kind of section on top of the mountain where you have it's almost like it is 2 weather systems meeting on top at Finse, and when you get to the other side, boom, you have sunshine. I see, CJ. Do you know if they are going to go for any encrypted communications over there? Jonathan J, that is so true. Bernard Carlson? No, I don't think I know Simone. Go ahead. Thank you so much for the super chat, Mark Simmons. Yes, you can travel. We do have an express train that goes all the way from Oslo to Bergen and, of course, back again. There are like 1, 2, 3, 4 departures from Oslo each day, except now during the pandemic, we have reduced that to 2 departures. And so you don't need to change train anywhere if you are going the whole way. So yeah, if you are planning on taking that trip, it's pretty safe to say that you don't need to change train. Tsukame, if I could choose a non-existing line in Norway, can I choose more than just one? If I could choose one they should build, it would be the completion of the line from Mo i Rana and all the way up to north of Norway, because yeah, the north of Norway don't have a train, and it would be a really good investment because you can pull heaps amounts of freight on the rail line without clogging the roads. So it would be so much better for everyone if they moved all the freight from the road over to railroad and transfer it from Oslo and all the way up to north. It would be, yeah. Why they haven't done it yet, it's like, it's just mind-boggling. Diego Felix? Yes, I do. I really like it. James Dixon, thank you so much for the super chat. HB fan, there are some houses I've seen that I could, that I really like. Yeah, so we see them all the time. Tukami, I couldn't agree more. Letter, those numbers are in NOK, so Norwegian crowns, yes. And if you're coming over to ride the train, just make sure order and book your tickets well in advance, and you will get them down to like $20 for the whole trip. For visiting, Dunya. Stephanie, I am really not sure what to think about that project. I mean that there are some other certain things they should have used that amount of money on, like expanding the rail network. So yeah, if they did, or why, I think they should have built the rail line at the same time. So yeah, that would be more cost effective. But yeah, they should have used money on other things. It's like, it's a crazy project. It's awesome, but crazy. Walker, how do I keep up with family? I don't. It's crazy hours, so they see me when they see me. James Dixon, the training or the Railway Academy lasted for 1 year. And then we were in training with the train company that hired us for approximately 6 months. So 4 to 6 months, depending on where you were based, because of all the certifications on rolling stock and stuff like that. So yeah, 1.5 years, and then you are out on your own. Turkey, it is quite different sitting there and being in control of the train compared to just like sitting here and watching the videos, because that is really relaxing. The videos are really relaxing, but when you're driving trains, you're kind of in the zone all the time, so you really plan the driving in the way that you try to do it as economically as possible by utilizing the topography and things like that. And you kind of know where the trains are, the other trains are at any given time, and if there are changes, then the traffic controller will give you a call and tell you his or her plans, and then you just adjust according to those changes. That could mean that you would drive more aggressively, or you could just like take it more slow because they want to, they're telling you, yeah, you're gonna be held back for about 10 minutes. So then there wouldn't be any meaning of like driving at maximum speed if you know that you're going to be standing somewhere for 10 minutes before the other train arrives. Then you just slack kind of off and you can just minimize the time you have to wait. Thank you so much for super chat, Mariana. Francis, I'm so glad you find them relaxing. Davidson, I am based at Voss, so we don't have Oslo as a standard in our roster, but if they are low on staff at all or in Oslo, it happens that they send us from Voss to Ål or Oslo to drive the trains. So depends. During vacation times and stuff like that, we get kind of tossed all over the place to help out on other bases on this line. Davis Nocturna. Heldigvis så slipper du å takke SC akkurat her, fordi dette her er Vy. Andrew Wodvarka, thank you so much for the donation. Alright, Davidson. No, I am licensed to drive the other route as well, so when we had to drive the diverted route, that was no problem at all. Thank you, Perky. Your grandfather must have been using vacuum brakes back then. Oddvark, thank you so much for the donation. And also, I have to thank Shroyboy for his donation that he gave like 7 hours ago before he was supposed to host his kid's birthday party today. So happy birthday! Jonathan J, yes. If you haven't driven a part of a line for the past 12 months, you have to do a recertification of that line or that part of the line. John Grant, just look for diamond-shaped signs, and when you see a vertical, or excuse me, a horizontal bar on it, it means that you have to sound a horn for a level crossing. And I've also named all the level crossings that are still operational, or path crossings as well, in this video. So you will see that after I sound the horn, it will be a couple of seconds, or 3 seconds, 4 seconds, and then you will see the name of the level crossing. Snoopidoo, if we have separate gauge tracks in Norway, could you please elaborate that? Do you mean like different gauge sizes or distances, or do you mean like third rails and stuff like that? Everyone in Norway has heard about Kari Bremnes. Bloodwalker, Norway does not have high-speed trains like the TGV, and that is basically because of the topography in Norway, which is really mountainous. And to have trains running at such speeds, it would mean that we would have just one tunnel in, or one hole in each side of the mountain from one coast to another coast, and yeah, it would be just tunnel all the way, and it would just not be sustainable. Jason Porter, I definitely prefer day trips. Snoopy-doo. No, we use normal gauge in Norway, which is 1435 millimeters, and we do have some heritage lines that do have a narrow gauge, but nothing that is in normal service today. Teatron, nah. I think we are never going to see that train being able to run its true potential on the Norwegian network. Gosh, Gunnar, are you referring to Kari Bremnes? Sorry, Melon? No, I don't think you missed anything. Because cows are awesome and that I work on a railway, I guess. The fox, Tom Fox, the Yeti is actually eating yellow snow cones. You can see him sitting up on the hill here and eating that yellow snow cone. It's really great. I think he thinks it's great, but the skiers who left those cones, they're laughing at him. Jail on the Beast. I really like the job. That's why I have been doing it for over 10 years. It's an ever-changing job and never see the same thing. Hal Hostler. Yes, we do have several sounds, but they're not used for traffic like this. We just use it for acknowledgement or to tell someone that watch out, and when we're shunting. But out here on the line, it's basically this sound, which means train is coming. Boy, nah, not really. Just everything is inside your head. This is your conscience, and we haven't spoken for a while. How are you? Tell me, Ranjan, what do you mean that passengers would have face problem? You know, you can run trains in both directions on a single track. You just can't do it at the same piece of track at the same time. Yeah, Micro, that's awesome. Sarah Jane, this is the western part of Norway, or right now we're kind of in the middle? The middle eastern southern part? Swiss boy, oh no, the aptitude test, you failed the aptitude test? Ah, are you able to do it again? Kame, the worst passenger situation I have ever had on my train was one who was being violent. Like, seriously violent. Torbjørn, dette ble filmet I begynnelsen av mars. Swiss boy, that sucks. That really sucks. But if you are able to take the test again, it would be possible to focus on those parts that you were kind of low on, to kind of like get your head into that space and like really working and training that part. Could work out. Welcome, Parivesh. Naomi Garza, yes, there has been several times that I have needed to stop the train, and one of them has been cars getting stuck on a level crossing. One, and people walking out on the tracks in front of the train. It's also ended up being an emergency brake. Thankfully, not hit anyone. But yeah, there are always some cases that would be a situation where you have to stop the train with the emergency brake. Thankfully, not often, but there are cases. Snowpiercer would be really cool. I would say that the Snowpiercer is like a normal day at work on this line during the winter. Martin Francis? Or Francis Martin? Maybe? Who knows? I can say I like being elusive. Naomi Garza, that noise was the SIFA. Tukami, yes. A flat part, flat country would probably turn me crazy. Yeah, it would be really weird not seeing mountains. Greetings, Caleb. See you later, Swiss boy. You also have a lot of desert. Actually forgot to mention this passing loop, and it's called Hool. This is Hool passing loop. Big Griffin. Bonnie Jones, that would be really cool, but due to some restrictions, I will never be able to record how to operate the train for safety reasons. George Buchanan. It really depends on the snow. Depends on the drifts that covers the track. If we have really heavy snowfall in the mountain area, or here for that sake, and you see that there are huge snow drifts on the track, We usually reduce speed to a point where the snow doesn't get tossed up on the roof. Because if the snow ends up on the roof, the chance of it forcing down the pantograph starts to increase. And if that happens, we're kind of screwed because then we lose contact with the power line. So when there is a lot of snow and there's a slight chance of it getting tossed up on the roof, we usually run around 60 to 80 kilometers per hour, depending on what kind of locomotive you're running. Some freight trains reduce the speed to 60. For the L18, it is okay to go around 70-80 kilometers per hour. Conservative line depends on the wear on the pantograph. There is a carbon graphite piece on top that gets worn down, which is the contact point between the pantograph and the power line. And they are inspected on certain intervals, or if we discover that there are some damage to it, we can have it call out maintenance and have them replace that piece. Yeah, they are controlled every morning when we do our safety checks, and every time we switch end on stations on the end of the line, we also check out the condition of the pantograph and everything on the outside. So there's always something to look for, and if we see something out of the ordinary, we report it. Big daggy. We say the saying here in Norway would be gå hjem, om deg i seng, og ikke la rypene bite. Jonathan J, both yes and no. There were some benefits with that shape, and there were also some disadvantages. So yeah, I'm not sure if it had any like real benefit compared to what we have like today, but was both, I would say both yes and no. Talks, it's basically the part you have seen so far. Frank, I speak bokmål, or, well, bokmål and nynorsk, it's a way of writing. It's nothing that you kind of speak, because we do have several dialects, but bokmål, or the east side dialect, is the one I have. Rangor? No. I do not operate diesel locomotives. We are just running electrics on this line. Francis, I speak two languages, Norwegian and English, and I can speak some really simple and bad German. Caleb, I would say that I'm obligated to like CargoNet because it's part of the View group, and I really do like CargoNet. I drove them during the training time back at the Railway Academy, and I thought it was really cool. But like I said before, it's not much about the operator here, as long as they are good employees or employers, everything is okay. So since Green Cargo is running like they do and things seems to go okay, I guess they are okay. Thank you so much for super chat, Joanne. And we are running into a little red light here before we can enter the last stop, which is All. And the reason for that is because the station is unmanned at the moment, and it has to have a traffic controller at the station to be able to meet two trains, or else the station would basically be a halt. So I just had to wait until he got to work and was able to put me into the diverted track. Hey there, Charles. Everything is good. I hope you're doing okay too. Cheryl Armstrong, on this train it's just me, because we have no passengers and this is a non-passenger service, so yeah, it's a single crew train. Ooh, Steven Michael bought the pillow. Thank you too, Frank. And as you can see, we have now come to the end of this trip for me. So after stopping this train, I just put it in park and almost basically leave the scene to return back to Voss with the passenger train in the opposite direction as a passenger. So thank you everyone for joining in today, and I really hope you have a fantastic weekend, and hope to see you here again pretty soon.